In this homework problem, we're going to use the order of operations when we have problems that may include any of the following: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and parentheses. So up in this corner, we have our order of operations for these types of mathematical operations. Parentheses come first. So remember, parentheses isn't an operation, but we perform any operations within parentheses first. Then we'll perform any multiplication or division. And remember, multiplication doesn't necessarily come before division. They have the same order from left to right. So after we finish parentheses, we'll do any multiplication or division from left to right. And then the same idea with addition and subtraction, which comes next. They have the same order, but we perform them from left to right. So let's look at these problems. So we'll start with problem A. We have 18 divided by parentheses 2 times 9. Okay. So start by, it's very good practice to highlight your operations. We have two to perform here. We have division and multiplication. And normally we do the division first because we do the operations from left to right. But the multiplication is in parentheses, so we need to do this first. So let's start with 2 times 9. So 18 divided by 2 times 9 is also 18. Now we just need to divide. 18 divided by 18 is 1. So our first answer is 1. Let's look at letter B. 18 divided by 2 times 9. So notice this problem is almost identical to the previous one, except the multiplication is not in parentheses. So we still have two operations, division and multiplication, but in this case, since there's no parentheses, we do these from left to right, so the division comes first. So first we will divide 18 by 2, which is 9. Then we'll write down the rest of the problem, and then 9 times 9 is 81. So notice we have different answers to these two problems. The order in which we multiply or divide matters, so these are two different problems. Sometimes you'll have problems where the order doesn't matter even when there are parentheses. You could have done it the other way, okay? But it's hard to tell. With a lot of practice, you'll begin to realize when that's going to be the case. But for now, make sure you follow the order of operations to make sure that you're getting the correct answer. Now let's look at letter C. So we have -9 minus parentheses 6 plus -4, close parentheses. So let's see what operations we have to do. Okay, that's a -9, but this is subtraction. We have parentheses, and in the parentheses we have the operation of addition. So there's two operations to perform. And we have subtraction and addition, but here the addition, it's further to the right, but it's in parentheses. So we're going to do this first. So we have -9 minus, well, 6 plus -4 is 2. Okay. And I kept this in parentheses. It's not necessary in this case, but that's a good habit to form so you don't later confuse signs with addition or subtraction symbols. So now we have -9 minus 2. That's our next operation. Okay. And this would be -11. Okay, so I'm going to focus more in this video on the order of operations. If you need to go back and review why this is -11, you can do that in the previous lesson. Let's look at D. So we have 3 parentheses 8 minus -5, close parentheses. So the 3 and the 8 next to each other with the parentheses in the middle is implied multiplication here, and we have subtraction. So this is implied multiplication. So we have two operations to perform. multiplication and subtraction, but the subtraction is in parentheses, so we're going to do this first. So we have 3 parentheses, 8 minus negative 5 is the same as 8 plus 5, which is 13. Notice again, I left it in parentheses because now I can see that these are multiplied. Alternatively, you could drop the parentheses and write 3 times 13. Okay, but make sure you put the correct operation in here. Remember from the beginning that these results are being multiplied, not added or subtracted. So that's why it's a good idea to keep it in parentheses. And 3 times 13 is 39. Let's look at E. So for E, we have negative 8 minus brackets negative 6 minus parentheses 6 plus negative 4, close parentheses, close brackets. Okay, so this one can give you parentheses poisoning. There's just so many parentheses going on here, and it's really just to group our symbols effectively. So don't panic when you see something like this. Just start by going through from left to right and identifying the operations. So this is a negative 8, that's not a minus. This is subtraction, so it's negative 8 minus this expression in brackets. So the brackets again, it's just another way of writing parentheses. We usually write them when there's a lot of parentheses on the inside because we want to make sure we can line up our corresponding parentheses. So let's take a look at that real quick. This bracket aligns with that closing bracket, and these correspond. That's just putting negative 6 in parentheses. This is just putting negative 4 in parentheses, and then these two correspond, and their purpose is to tell us to add these two numbers first. Okay, so that's how they're all playing out. So we have subtraction, subtraction, and addition. So there's only 3 operations to perform here, as messy as it looks. And now let's think of what we do first. So we do whatever's in the parentheses first, but we actually have nested parentheses. And by that I mean parentheses within other parentheses, or in this case, brackets. So we need to do what's in the brackets first, but within the brackets there's also parentheses. So we need to do this operation first because it's in more parentheses. So let's perform that first operation. We'll copy everything down before it. Negative 8 minus bracket, negative 6 minus, and 6 plus negative 4 is 2. So we perform that addition. Now we have subtraction and subtraction. However, this subtraction is in parentheses. So we're going to do this one first. So we have negative 8 minus, well, negative 6 minus 2 is negative 8. Okay. And I put that in brackets equivalently. You can put it in parentheses, okay? So these have the same idea. I just use brackets because that's what we had up here, okay? And now we just have to subtract these two numbers. Well, negative 8 minus negative 8, well, any number minus itself is 0. So our final result for this question is 0. And let's look at the last problem. So problem F, we have 9 times 3 minus 4 parentheses 6 minus negative 8, close the parentheses. Okay, again, highlight your operations. It helps you to think about what you have to do. So we have to multiply here, subtract here. Notice this number is written next to the parentheses, so there's an implied multiplication here and a subtraction here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 operations to perform. Okay. So notice the first thing we should do is the parentheses, which is right here. Parentheses come first. So we need to do the subtraction. Okay. I'm going to write down everything previous to this. So 9 times 3 minus 4 parentheses. And this is 6 minus negative 8. Well, that's the same as 6 plus 8, which is 14. Okay. So let's see what we have to do next. So we still have multiplication, subtraction, and implied multiplication here. Okay. So this multiplication comes first because it's the leftmost multiplication. Okay, so now we have the 14 in parentheses, but there's no operation in there, so we don't have to do this multiplication first because there's parentheses near it. Okay, we have to do operations in parentheses first. So let's do the 9 times 3, which is 27 minus 4 times 14. Now we'll do the 4 times 14. So this is 27 minus 4 times 14 is 56. And our last step is the subtraction. 97 minus 56, let's see, that would be negative 29. Again, I'm doing these operations in my head. Feel free to take more time, do your work on the side, or do them on your calculator. So our final result is negative 29.